before I ask you a question.
Go ahead.
So what's your I get it.
Special guest this morning. What's up, brother?
Well, welcome to the Word of the Week, Mr. Mans. Glad to talk with you today. Before we get started, I like the casual look that you got going on today. I like that sweatshirt. That's pretty nice.
Hey, thanks, man. Only the best for our viewers.
I'm rocking the Pure Lotta shirt, but you can't see it because it's cut off by the camera.
There you go. Hey, it's cold down here in Florida. When I say cold, it's like in the 60s, 50s and 60s. So I figured if they're going to make me suit up like I'm back in Cleveland, I'm going to be comfortable while I do it.
There you go.
Well, the fact is my warm weather or my cool weather wardrobe is limited these days. So this is what you get.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. So do you have the bucket of words so we can pick what our word of the week is going to be today?
Roy, not only is it a bucket of words, but it is a festive bucket.
Nice.
So we have that's me shaking it up. Shaking up words. That's me shaking up words. So are we ready to pull a word out?
We're ready. We're ready.
Without looking. Oh, I knew you were gonna like this one. The word of the week is hurry.
Hurry. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Let me add that to our little caption here. Word of the week is hurry.
Yeah, hurry up. Add it. Hurry up, Roy.
Yeah, hurry up. Geez.
Should have brought the whole pot of coffee over here. You know, some mornings the coffee is like more necessary than others. And not that I'm having a good day. I'm having a good morning. I'm on time. In fact, what was awesome, if we want to talk about hurry, I'm not going to go ahead and get started on it, but like my drive to work is only a couple of miles. And there's maybe 6 traffic lights between my house and the office. I usually plan for about 20 minutes for the drive. But when the mornings that I hit all green lights all the way, I'm here in like 5 minutes, literally like 5 minutes door to door. Today was one of those days. So I was excited to get in and have time to brew a cup of coffee or brew a pot of coffee and get some breakfast. So it's been a really good morning.
Nice.
The little, right? The little things.
Yeah. I'm reminded of when we both worked on Fort Knox. And on the way in the morning, when you got there early before everybody else, it was like a 15-minute drive. But if you tried to leave at 5 o'clock to get home, it was 45 to 50 minutes, just with all the traffic, all the stoplights. I mean, it was crazy. So much of a difference. And I remember we used to plan our day out to miss all the crowds, because if you hit the crowds, it was terrible. So like lunch, for instance, I got in the habit of eating lunch at 11 o'clock in the morning, and it's kind of weird, and it's kind of stuck with me through all these years. But I learned early on that if you can get to Burger King at 11 o'clock, you're in and out in 10 minutes. But if you go at noon, hour and a half lunch just for Burger King because of the line.
It's like, what is the thing that says like, if you leave at 4 o'clock, I'll get home. You get home at 5 o'clock. If you leave at 4:45, you'll get home at 5 o'clock.
Right.
So it's just because of the traffic when people do leave. You know.
Yep. So our word of the week is hurry. This has come up probably 6 times now. It's kind of funny. So you sent me a link to an Audible book called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry.
Yep.
Well, actually, you sent it to me, I think, 3 times. And I was like, wow, first off, Joe doesn't read that many books. And second off, he really wants me to read this one. And I looked on it. I added it to my wish list so that the next credit that I got, I would buy it. Well, we've been shopping on Amazon and we're getting the digital credits and stuff, which, by the way, don't work on Audible, which is dumb. You can buy a Kindle book, but you can't buy an Audible with them. Whatever. But so I'm like, all right, well, let me add it.
If you're watching this,
yeah,
Google it, email it, something, fix that.
That's right. Yeah, Amazon, listen in. I know you're listening anyways.
They're listening. Oh.
Free feedback. Here you go. So I went to try to like add it to a cart to see if I could apply them, but I hit the 1-click purchase instead of the add to cart button or whatever, right? How many of us have made that mistake? So I bought it. I'm like,
yes.
Well, all right, I bought it. I'll start listening to it. And then it came up again later that same week. The sermon on Sunday morning, the pastor must have been reading the book too, because he referenced some of the sections from the book. And then we've talked about it a lot, all about the ruthless elimination of hurry. So obviously that's a theme that God wants me to hear, so I'm glad we're talking about hurry today. And that was a really long wind up for the word, but it's a very interesting word in today's day and age.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you would have just slowed down and been in such a hurry, you wouldn't have clicked the wrong button.
Right.
Or just playing with you. No, because I've done it too. In fact, a lot of the mistakes that I've, the trivial mistakes anyway that I've made in life, in a daily basis, we all do it every day. I've been a result of hurry. I'm just trying to get a task done so I can get on to the next task. Or I'm trying to get the task done so that it will free up my time so I'll have time to relax. What a lie or a joke to myself, right? Because I know that once I get it done, I'm just going to fill that void time with probably something unimportant, like checking my phone or checking my Facebook or whatever. And it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe an addiction. Maybe it's an addiction to hurry. Or maybe it's just become the norm, is to always be in a hurry to get the thing done so we can get on to the next thing. And what I do know is you cannot sacrifice, quality for quantity in most cases anyway. I mean, you can, but it's usually not a good compromise. It typically doesn't end well. So yeah, I think hurry is something I can get better at. And I don't know, maybe whoever's watching this can get better at it too.
Yeah, it's interesting that a lot of these weeks we talk about a specific word like hurry, and then we end up talking about other words that are related. And actually, a conversation you and I had just a couple weeks ago was the difference between hurry and hustle, because hustle is a huge buzzword these days. And you talk about your side hustle, or you talk about hustling to get further, to get ahead. And we've been talking a lot about accountability and how we hold ourselves accountable to the things that we want most, not the things that we want right now. And we talk about how are we hustling to get to where we need to go, because there's always going to be things like deadlines. There's going to be projects that are due. There's going to be Parkinson's law that says that time will expand to fill the space that you give it. And so if you only give it an hour, or if you only give it 15 minutes, that's how much time it's going to take. But if you give it 3 hours, 4 hours, that's how much time it's going to take, because it expands, And so we have to be careful about this balance between hurry and hustle, because hustle, in my opinion, hustle is a good thing. Hustle, and I think you even did a video called, it was called "Grind at Your Own Pace." But I mean, you could reword that to hustle at your own pace, right?
Right.
And so when the concept of the book that we're reading, and the concept of the word in today's context, I believe, is that when we rush, we make mistakes. And I liken hurry to rush. It is moving faster than you need to move. It's doing more things than you need to do. One of the examples in the book that kind of hit me was, he was like, when you have a pause, excuse me, a commercial comes on television, or there's a 5-minute break between things, what's the first thing that you do? And if you're anything like me, the very first thing you do is you grab your phone and you do something with it. Did I miss any messages? Did I miss any emails? Did I miss any notifications on Facebook or Instagram? Right? I'm just going to knock that out real quick. But really what has happened is I have filled my day with all of these things that are unimportant, and I'm not taking time to rest in between activities. And I'm certainly not taking time to rest on the weekends, because I'm so busy during the week that now I have to fill in all of the evening commitments on the weekends, right? Mowing the lawn, or raking the leaves, or shoveling the snow in this season, right? And so this constant hurry is almost like a constant state of stress. You're constantly on your game, you're constantly moving, and you're constantly filling up the spare moments with extra things. And then where are you at the end of the day? You're exhausted. You look back at the mistakes that you made during the day because you rushed through them trying to hurry up and get them done. And to your point, when you finish something, it's already filled with something else before you even have a chance to sit down and enjoy the fact that you had a break.
Yeah. I want to go back to hustle versus hurry. As you were talking about that, there was a saying in the Army that the drill sergeants would encourage us. They would tell us, move with a purpose. And that was their way of saying, get your butt in gear and move out. Come on, you're moving too slow. So they'd never say, hurry up. They would say, come on, private, move with a purpose, move with a purpose. And I like that. I like that for hustle, because moving with the purpose, I think to your point, is hustle and hurry are different. Hustle can be a good thing. Hustle means that you're getting it done. You're moving with a purpose. And so I like that. When we go back to hurry, and the things that void our time, or things that fill the voids in our time, think about this. If now you and I, social media is a part of our job, right? So usually when we're checking, or during the day, if we say, you know what, I'm going to take a couple hours and hang out, whatever, in between calls, or I'm going to do my work I know a lot of people working from home right now. I'm going to sit on the couch and work from my laptop or whatever, and you get to bounce back and forth between the work world and the personal life, because you're there and you want to be present a little bit. So not to make excuses for picking up the phone on commercial breaks, I think there should be a line wherever you are, be there for sure. But let's use the example as if that was just an elective or a waste of time or something. But what we do is, instead of doing the important thing and then equally important is resting in between, we're already doing a mind-numbing thing. We're watching television, for crying out loud. This is not important. It's not a priority unless you mark that time off for relaxation, right? But you're not relaxing if you're watching TV and then checking your email, or checking your text message, or checking your work notifications of any sort. So you really don't get that period of rest. That goes back to prioritizing. And I was thinking about that like 4:00 this morning. And what I was thinking about is the cliche that time is money. True, time is money, but I think the context typically is time is money in the sense of you're getting paid for your time, or like you're on the clock, so you better get it done because I'm paying you to be here. But what if we looked at time as money differently? What if we looked at time as money, as time is actually currency, right? If you treat time like currency, because your money, you wouldn't let someone just take it. You wouldn't just leave it laying around. You wouldn't just waste it because it's sitting there. You would prioritize your money to pay the things that are most important. Maybe your mortgage or your rent. Maybe buy groceries. And then then you budget it, right? And then what's left behind is your discretionary funds. There are things that you can spend your money on that are electives. You wouldn't mix all that money up and just spend as you go. Not if you're responsible with your money. And if we were to treat time like currency, in that same respect, budgeting our time, making sure that we have all of the priorities covered with our time. Family is definitely a priority. So have we budgeted family time? And I'm not saying this in the sense of regimenting every single aspect of your life, but if you just think about the cliche, time is money, and treat your time as important as you treat, as not because you treat your money, but as important as we've made money to be in our society. But we don't value our time like we value our money, like we should. So if we were to do that, what would life look like if you were to budget your time and treat it like you do your money? Would you use it differently? Would you treat it differently? Would you budget it differently? Would the free time you have be spent differently? Would you waste it on the dumb little things at the checkout counter or the dollar store, or just because it was on sale or available? Or would you use that discretionary funds, I don't know, to maximize your wealth? Invest more in the things that matter, like the relationship time. I don't know. It's just a thought I had this morning.
Yeah, no, that's a great thought, because it kind of talks about, we were talking about intentional a few weeks ago, and are we being intentional with all of our resources? And time is a huge resource. And I think you make a great point that we go through a lot of effort to budget our money so that we don't overdraw the bank account. But I think it is not as noticeable, I think, when we overdraw our time account. There was a study that said that people lost effectiveness in working at about the 50 to 55 hour work week point. And so they did a study and they said those people that worked 70 hours were no more productive than people who worked 55 hours. And so then you kind of ask yourself, well, what's the point of working all that extra time? And if you figure 8 hours a day, that's about 6 days in a week, and that leaves one whole day that says you're not going to be effective this day, you should rest. And
Right.
That's what the Sabbath is all about. It's all about resting. It's all about rejuvenating. And but if we are,
that was the intent anyway.
yeah, well, and if we are overdrawn, you can't get back to a plus number in just one day when you drastically overdraw your account. And if we're talking about time as a bank account, right? If I'm working 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day, I'm exhausted by the end. The worst feeling in the world? The worst feeling in the world is when you finally shut down the computer, you finally set the phone down, and you look at life that's going on around you and has been going on around you this whole time, and you feel utterly exhausted. And you feel like you missed out on all of the cool things that your family was doing or your friends were doing because you gave it to work.
Yeah.
And you look back and you're like, what did I even do? What did I even do today that was worth all this time and worth this fatigue and worth missing out on all this other stuff?
Well, not just gave it to work, but gave it to wasted time, gave it to hurry. Think about this. Let's just think about this simple example that every one of us, and I mean, I'm not pointing the finger, I'm pointing the finger here because I'm guilty of having done this. I've, in recent years, changed my pattern because I didn't like the outcome. But I think everyone can relate with laying in bed. It's time to get up. Didn't get enough sleep last night. Just lay here 5 more minutes. Hit the snooze button. And then what the very next result of that decision is I'm now being hurried to get out of the house, get a shower, get shaved, get out of the house and get where I need to be on time. So you're already self-defeated. Oh, I got to get up. The day is already a burden on you. And then you add the element of hurry on top of that, not because you don't have enough time, but because you wasted time laying there that should have been allocated towards getting up and get ready. So not only does it change the mindset, but it also changes the outcome because of the physical consequences that follow the decision that was made. So I really do try hard, and I do believe that if you do anything enough, it will become habitual. And getting up on time the first time the alarm goes off, and getting up and getting ready to tackle the day and say, it's time, let's go get it. Now, I might not always be in the mood to do it, but if I tell myself that, even if it is a rough start to the day, at least I'm not adding hurry on top of that.
Yeah. Well, one of the things
I have time for coffee.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that you've said over and over again is that we choose what we do before our alarm goes off.
Absolutely.
Right. And then we choose what happens when the alarm goes off. When somebody is late or rushed or frazzled, especially when we're talking about our kids, I recall numerous times you've had that conversation of, you're the one who chose when your alarm went off. You're the one who chose when you got up. You're the one who chose when you got dressed. Don't come to me saying that you're late. Don't come to me saying that you didn't get it done because you chose what time you set that alarm for. And if you needed an extra 15 minutes, you should have set the alarm 15 minutes earlier.
Right.
That you weren't late, because there's nothing between midnight and 6 a.m. or whenever that alarm's going off that is an emergency that's going on right now, in most situations, right? That is truly preventing us from being there on time. And so really what it is at the end of the day is it's excuses. Well, I'm frazzled because, well, there is no because. We get to choose. We get to choose when we get up. We get to choose how quickly we get out of bed. We get to choose our attitude when we jump out of bed. I didn't sleep last night. I'm not sitting here like, oh, hey, Joe, what's up, man? Yeah, I didn't sleep last night. No, because that would bring everybody down. Like, no, lift everybody up. You know what? Yeah, I'm tired, but who cares? Let's go get it. Let's go have some fun today. And that's my attitude. That's a choice. That's a choice. I feel tired, but I choose to ignore that and put on a smile, to choose to portray excitement and emotion and energy, because I know that the people around me are going to feel that and they're going to get lifted up too, you know?
Right. So if you follow the consequences or the privileges that follow your choices, so the path looks like this. It's going to be a rough day. I'm going to lay here 15 more minutes. And then I get up and I'm rushed. And then something happens that's outside of our control, which makes us even later. And then we walk in the door and the boss is upset because we're late for the meeting. And then we're frustrated with that. And we don't like getting yelled at, but we're getting yelled at as a result of the consequences that follow our actions. And then because now we're rushed, we make poor choices, or we screw something up, or we missed something when we did the work, with a rush. And now there's another. So it's a chain reaction. And I think this is important. I think there's a really important thing about what you said, which is choosing an attitude of, yes, I'm tired, but choosing an attitude of, let's go get it. This is like by far the benefit of planning and budgeting your time, is that you will have time to catch up, to rejuvenate, to be tired and get rested, as long as you follow the plan, right? Because if you're rushed and then you get it wrong and then you have to do it again and you're getting yelled at and now you're more defeated and you're frustrated and you're angry and you're behind, then you won't have time to rest later, because now you're doing the work twice because you screwed it up the first time, or because you have to stay later because you feel somehow obligated to repay your boss for the time that you missed this morning, because you're a good person and you want to do well. But these things kind of caught up with you. So now you don't have time to rest. But everything starts at the beginning. And guess what? If you do get up and you hit the snooze button and then you are late, you have an opportunity anywhere in those chains of decisions to fix it. Now, it may take some extra effort. You know what? I'm behind, but this is a priority. Just like we budget our money, this is a priority. I got to get this right, even if it takes a little bit longer and I'm already behind. I got to get this right, because if I don't get it right, it's going to put me farther behind, and it's going to add frustration and anger and disappointment, all these different things on top of it. So you have the opportunity at any point to change based on your actions in order to change the outcome, and that's what will get it done. So don't think that, oh my gosh, I'm late, I'm behind, I got to skip lunch. Maybe sometimes you do, or maybe you just eat lunch at your desk, but don't make those things the norm. Don't make rush the normal rhythm, because that's not healthy, number one, but it always keeps you behind. And if you are able to, just 15 minutes in your day, like today, right? I shared earlier that it could take 15 to 20 minutes to get to my office, even though it's only a couple of miles away. Well, today I got green lights all the way. I got here in like 5-7 minutes. Am I going to be delusional and say, well, then tomorrow, if I leave at this time, it's only going to take 7 minutes. If I do that, well, then I can sleep in 5 more minutes. Well, what is the value of that 5 extra minutes of sleep with
Right.
the 10 extra minutes of sleep? It's far more valuable to me to be here earlier and have that time. That's my time of rest, by the way. I got here earlier. I didn't open my email because I got here earlier. I didn't open my email 15 minutes early.
Yeah.
I brewed a pot of coffee. I had a breakfast. I was like, hey, this is good. I got some chill time, some me time, some relaxed time to get the mind right for the day. Because we got a big day ahead of us today, a big old planning session scheduled today. So I got to be in the right space to do that. But rushing won't put me there.
Yeah, for sure. And the two things that really stand out there are, we've had so many people in our lives that have tried to hurry through something and just made it worse, and then they had to redo it, and then they hurried through it, and then it made it worse, and they had to redo it. And I recall certain days where it's like an entire day of like, listen, just slow down, do it right the first time, and you don't have to redo it, and then you'll have more time in your day, and that's a paradigm shift,
100%.
And so, I think that's a key nugget to take away there. But also, when we were talking about the difference between hurry and hustle, I think that to me, hurrying is just rushing through something to get it done as fast as possible. But I think that hustle is great work with intensity.
Sure. Yeah, I'll buy that. I mean, hustle could be a word of the week by itself, probably. But I do think hustle and grind, that's the buzzword for putting that extra effort in. That doesn't mean you have to do it fast. I mean, we're going to do an 8 or 9 hour session today of planning. We're not going to hurry through it, but we're going to hustle for sure. We're going to grind it out. We're going to get it right, because we're going to take the time to do it right. And you can't do that in a hurry.
Yeah,
And then I think the whole point of this, right? The whole point of why is hurry even in the bucket? The festive bucket. Why is it even in the bucket? Because there's something that I think that we can learn by talking about it, and we can teach by sharing it, about hurry's not a good thing. Hurry's not a good thing. So how can we eliminate or reduce the amount of hurry in our lives and balance that out with, with taking putting our time, budgeting our time as if it were currency in our lives, putting putting that currency where it's most important, and then making choices that are going to lead to positive outcomes as a result of reducing or eliminating hurry from our lives. I think that's the benefit that we can gain from it.
Yeah, I agree. And a fun experiment that anybody can try if they want to illustrate the difference between hurry and hustle. Just try to bake a cake in half the amount of time.
Yeah, right.
Try to bake a cake in half the amount of you're either going to crank up the temperature to bake it faster, or it's going to burn, or it's not going to be done. But it's a great illustration, just a visual picture even, of some things take the time that they take. I remember when Rachel was pregnant with our first child, and I'm like, living in a world of Amazon, and this is still, 13 years ago, it was still, things were delivered in a week, they were delivered, right? And I'm like, wait. What do you mean I have to wait 9 months for this package? Like, that was forever. 9 months? Like, come on, this is forever. And I just remember how many walks we took, like, oh my goodness, can it just get here already? Can it just, I'm so excited to be a dad. I'm so excited to meet my child, I wanted to be here. There was nothing on this planet that we could do that was going to hurry that up.
Eager beaver syndrome.
Guilty.
Well, we had a client this week. We had proposed a 6-month campaign, and this is a new launch for them in a new market. And we proposed a 6-month campaign. That way we could get that brand awareness out there and build up the awareness before we really went heavy into the conversion part of the tactics. And they says, oh, this is great, but, let's do this. Let's cut the budget in half and make it from a 6-month to a 3-month campaign. And I'm like, this goes to your point of baking a cake in half the time. Like, well, the first half of the campaign was building the awareness and building that audience that's going to convert. And I'm like, so, it's really better to narrow the audience and still do 6 months, because, you can't plant the corn and command it to grow. It doesn't work that way. It's a 6-month process to plant the seed, water it, do all the things, the sunlight, and then you grow a corn stalk, and then you get the corn. And there's a process that needs to be followed, and you can't rush those things. You can't hurry the process. You're better to plant half as much corn if you have a budget that you need to stick to plant half as much corn, but wait the 6 months. And of course, you're gonna yield less corn because you've invested less in the process, but you will at least have corn. If you put all of that up front and shorten the process, you'll have no corn. You won't even have a corn stalk. You'll just have a bunch of seeds still in the ground 3 months later. And so baking the cake, planting the corn, it applies to every aspect of our lives, personal lives, business life. Don't rush the plan, especially if it's a process. You can't hurry the baby the baby growing and becoming a full human that can walk and cry and you know, and you can love that way, but and you can't do that with business, and you can't do it with other things that are important in your life.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, that's such an important takeaway. And even just hearing it again just reminds me of the importance of being intentional with our time. You know, like you said in the very beginning, with the drill sergeant, was move with a purpose. You know, move with a purpose, and I think that's something, that's a motto that you know, we should carry around with us in our pocket, that we're reminded we're not rushing from fire to fire to fire, right? That's the worst kind of situation. It feels good in the moment. Oh man, this person really needed me. I helped them out, but then I'm behind schedule on the things that matter the most. Or you know, I really want to lose weight, but I really want to eat this Twinkie. Well, you know what? You're going to miss out on the thing that you want most for the thing that you want right now, and that's a short-term gain, but a long-term loss. And when we're intentional with our time, we hustle. You know, we move with purpose and intensity. That's a good thing, but it's giving it the time that it's due, the time that it needs to grow. Not trying to rush the process, not trying to hurry the process, but also respecting ourselves, respecting our own bodies, respecting what, you know, we grind at our own pace, but also we have to recognize when we're overspent on our own energy, when we're overspent on our own schedule, you know. And that's, again, 75 hours is the exact same output as 55 hours in this study. So why are we killing ourselves? What gain are we really getting? And I think that's some good self-evaluation. You know, I don't know if any of the watchers journal in the morning, you know, but that's something that would be a good topic. Write it down in your journal. Am I really being effective with my time? And am I really focusing on the things that are the most important? And am I balancing my time budget like I balance my finance budget?
I mean, that's really why, like, the whole planning movement that we're doing with RMI and putting the, you know, in coaching and teaching and training and helping people plan their success. That's where that comes in, because that really dumps it all on the table. So whether it's time or money or goals or whatever, it puts all of the inventory out on the table, and then it organizes all of those resources. And you know, you may find the reason you do 75 hours is really to impress someone who doesn't give a crap, who would rather see you happy and producing at a highly effective level with 50 hours than going 70 hours and they're getting what's left of you at the beginning of the next week. You may find that out. You know, you may learn that through the planning process, but that's the whole point of it, is to put it on the table, organize it in a fashion that's going to get you what you want most out of life, leveraging the things that you're best at and you enjoy the most, and prioritizing those things so that you're getting the desired outcome, planning it out. What is the measure as you're leading up to achieving that goal? And how are you going to hold yourself accountable? And who's your accountability partner who's going to encourage you, motivate you, and help hold you accountable when you're not feeling it, you know? And all of those things are same in the spirit. If you've got the plan, if you got your priorities, you don't have to question your priorities. You've already documented that. You already know what's most important. And then you can look at it and say, does this thing that I'm doing support where I want to be? Or is it just something that's distracting me, that's taking my time, that's eating up the free time I have where I could be resting, or I could be investing in my goal? And the problem is we don't have the clarity because we don't have a plan. And so we can't see the vision. And so if we can't see the vision, we how many times have we have a great idea and then we start it and we don't go anywhere? That's because we don't have a plan. And what happens is when you have an idea, but you don't have a plan, you hit an obstacle. And because you can only see as far as that obstacle, you don't have a plan to get over the obstacle. You don't have the ability to see past the obstacle. You didn't account for that. You just said, forget about it. And then that idea doesn't turn into action. That's what planning does. It takes the idea and turns it into action. I want to achieve this. I want to get I want to advance my degree. Well, what's your plan to do that? Oh, just one day I'm going to get my doctorate, or one day I'm going to get my master's, or one day I'm going to do whatever, get my captain's license, whatever the thing is. And we don't have a plan to do it. And it's hard because instead we check our phone. And then at the end of the day, we say we didn't have time. I didn't have time to do it. I don't have time. Well, you did. You just used that time in other ways because you don't have a plan how to get there.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we're out of time.
We are.
On it.
No, I think that the last 5 minutes we summed up like the entire 35-minute conversation in a really good way. So if you're just chiming in, just rewind like 5 minutes and watch the last 5 minutes because it was a really good summary. I think it was a great conversation today, and I think the one thing I'm going to take away the most is that plan. If I have a plan for my life, then I'm gonna know the direction that I want to go, but I'm also going to have an easier time budgeting my time and my other resources to get me there. And like you just said, I think that if we don't have to rush or hurry through the things to get us further, we end up just being a hamster in a wheel at that point. But when we hustle, when we move with a purpose and, great work with intensity, we move the needle, we make a difference. But it's all has to be aligned with that goal. What is the most important thing to us? And if we don't know what that is, it's really important to write that down and then tell somebody about it. Find an accountability partner that's going to help hold you accountable to that. Because if it's worth writing down as a big goal that you have, it's worth telling somebody about it. It's worth having them help hold you accountable to getting it done and not giving in on the little things.
That's right. All right, Roy. Hey, this was a good one.
Yeah.
We need new words for the bucket. So
bucket.
So comment or send us a message or whatever word you want us to talk about. We'll dig deep into it. We will dig deep into it. And we'll investigate, research, and come back hopefully with a great conversation. And please feel free to join the conversation in the comments. So,
absolutely.
but it's always fun, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you as a friend and as a business partner. And word of the week. Conversationalist.
Yeah, right back at you, my friend. Awesome. Well, hey, I'll actually see you here and again in like 10 minutes. But for everyone else that's out there, we'll see you next week at 8:30 a.m.
All right. See you guys.